What is going on, everybody? It's Pyrosaur, and welcome back to the Pyrocast. Today we're going to be talking about the future of mankind, and today I have my very good friend TJ joining me, and we're going to kind of dissect where we think mankind is headed, how we're doing right now, which is probably not good if we just want to summarize it, but we're going to kind of touch on that. So, first off, I guess we'll start with the fact that COVID started in what, 2019? Is it December of 2019?
I think right around that time of the year, it really started hitting people, but we didn't know what it was until about early to early
Like
mid
February
2020.
of 2020.
Yeah, February.
Well, and the reason I kind of keep track of it is because me and Laura got married in October of 2019, and like 2 months later, she got sick as shit, had this like extreme chest cold type thing going on for like almost a month, and that happened right around Christmas time of 2019. So it was right around December, a couple of months after we got married, and she was sick as hell. So um, then it started becoming publicized, and everybody kind of started knowing what COVID was, and ever since that time period, we have been flushing down into the shitter. I seriously, like, we have, like, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse, and it's just like when you think it can't get any worse, it does. Like, it just keeps going and going and going. It's like the fucking Energizer Bunny is driving this whole thing, like, oh, well, oh, okay, well, COVID, okay, well, I guess you just can't go out to eat anymore, and oh, well, I guess now everything's gonna get way more expensive than it should be, and oh, you thought that gas prices were bad back in 2008? Think again. Like,
I mean, I think it's crazy, if you look at statistics today from the start of the pandemic, it's just like any new kind of disease, people that just don't have the immune system and everything,
yeah,
unfortunately, die. But if you look at it today, the infection rate of COVID is at its all-time high, higher than it's ever been, but our death tolls are so much lower than at the very start of the pandemic.
right.
And I mean, my grandmother has, all of her vaccines and her booster and
Mm-hmm.
everything she could get for protection, and she
Yeah, did
just
it all
got
by the
it.
books.
Got
And
it.
still
And
got it. Yeah.
she felt like absolute shit
Yeah.
for about a week. And I mean, she couldn't get out of bed, and I felt so bad for her. I was getting everything and doing stuff for her, but, you know, it's just like the flu to me.
Yep. There, and that's the thing. There is nothing that we can do about it. Everybody on the whole fucking planet could get vaccinated. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're still gonna get it. It's still gonna mutate. It's still gonna do its thing. Like you said, just like the flu. A lot of people are like, it's not just like the flu. No, it kind of is. It operates in the same manner. When you every year seasonally, personally I don't, but seasonally, when you go get your flu shot, right? Every year that you're getting your flu shot, they're
It's just a
the
new
vaccine,
variant
they're trying
of
to
it.
use the most commonly recorded variant, right? That's the vaccine that they're giving you. But there's hundreds of variants of the flu. So even if you do get a flu shot, you still have a chance to get it, right? Like, you still
Exactly.
have a chance to get the flu. And that's how all vaccines operate. You still have a chance. Yes, it may decrease your chances of getting that, virus or whatever, what have you, but you're you're still at risk no matter what.
Oh,
There
yeah.
is nothing you can do to prevent yourself from getting those kinds of viruses, unless you just isolate yourself to a fucking island out in the middle of nowhere and you never have any contact with any human being whatsoever, then you'll probably be fine.
Yeah.
You know? But unless you do that, you're still at risk. No, I'm not saying, like, you know, if you think you need to get vaccinated, do it. If you don't think you need to, don't do it. I'm one of those people that I'm not gonna tell somebody what they should or shouldn't do. You know,
Yep.
I don't.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not that kind of person. But
I'm the person that, you know, whatever you believe is what you believe in. What I believe in is what I believe in. But there's no reason at the end of the day that we shouldn't be able to, you know, still be friends or anything like that. You know, because not everyone's viewpoints are going to match up on every single thing. You know, you're never going to find that person.
Well, no, and that's why mankind is the way it is. Like, no one is ever going to agree on something. Right?
No,
like we're never gonna all be on the same page. Okay, as long as, you know, we have hundreds of branches of religion and politics and everything else, no one is ever going to agree.
Never. Ever.
And that's just where we're at. It is what it is. But I think, you know, and to your point about, you know, and like we've both just said, you know, if you, in the case of COVID, right? Like if you decide you want to get vaccinated, cool. If someone else decides they don't want to for whatever the reasons they may be, you know, fine. And if one friend chooses not to, one friend chooses to, and the friend that chooses to says, you know, well, I can't hang around you because you're not vaccinated, that's their choice, right? Like it's a pretty simple, straightforward thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's no like argument there.
No.
Again, we all have a freedom of choice. You know?
I mean, I've been dumped by plenty of friends, you know, for over different things, you know, religion points, political, you know, views and stuff like that. You know, it's been over some of the stupidest things, you know, especially during election time or the height of a pandemic, you know, and it's crazy to just think about it, you know, because we've been friends for, you know, months, weeks, or years, you know, but because of that one thing, all of a sudden it's completely gone. And, you know, I hate that, you know, I lost that person, but clearly I'm better off without them if they're going to, you know, toss you aside for some of the smallest things that you disagree on.
Right. And that's what separates mankind, to be honest with you. As far as, you know, we're on the topic of the future of mankind and where we're headed. And especially today, like, I would say that, especially since the birth of social media, man. Like, since the birth of social media, and I'm not trying to, like, get on this whole conspiracy theory type shit. It's just a simple fact that ever since social media has been birthed, mankind has become more and more divided than it has ever been. And I don't think, like, nobody could tell me otherwise on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everyone can state their opinions on social media freely, right? Freedom of speech. We live in a free country, and that's great. Like, I still fully believe in freedom of speech, whether I agree with someone's opinion or not. That is our right to have freedom of speech. But the I guess you know, if you look at the pros and cons, the pro is yes, you have freedom of speech, but the cons is that it creates division. And it has to. There's no way you can fix it. There's no absolute way you can fix it. Everyone is going to disagree. Like, there are always going to be disagreements, no matter what you do. You know? So, and it depends on, and I guess the point that I'm getting to here is, how far do you let it go, right? What line do you allow it to cross to where it starts affecting our progression as a species, right?
But
I mean, we're talking big picture here, right? If we continue to let ourselves divide each other, we're not gonna make it as a species, as mankind, as humans. We are not going to make it if we keep down the path that we're doing now. That's the way I look at it.
I mean, I see where you're coming from, and I see the logic of where you're at with it. But at the same time, I also see it as without that, pushback and diversity between one another as a human being, how are we to find out what is wrong and right in the end if we don't fight for what we believe in on either side?
Right.
I mean, that is what will set motion our future for everything. It's everyone's, differences to see, what as a whole we will want.
Right. And I'm not saying that we should just live in this absolute cohesive environment where everyone agrees with each other on everything. That's just not, again, it's just not possible, right? But I guess the point that I'm making is as far as the division is, even just geographically, right? We're all separated by countries and states and everything else. Well, I guess in the U.S. we're the only ones that do states, but countries. We have a United Nations and they all talk with each other. We have, a world order, right? But that world order has yet to all get along, right? That's the point that I'm kind of getting to. So if we keep down the path of war and destruction, we're gonna be the product of our own demise as a species, right? Because we're all developing nuclear weapons. We're all trying to get the biggest and best technology. It's a competition. It's just one big fucking three-ring circus of competition. And if we keep down that path and we keep going that way, we're going to be further divided because we're going to be too focused on, I've got to win. We're not going to be focused on, we just need to make sure that we survive and we continue to, take care of the planet and do what we need to do to survive. That's what we need to be focusing on. And there are a few, higher powers that are interested in that. But as a whole, we're all kind of just playing Super Smash Bros against each other, right? That's what we're doing. I mean, that's literally what we're doing. For those of you that don't know what Super Smash Brothers is, I'd be shocked if you didn't, but look it up. May the best man win kind of deal. You know, and that's what we've been doing for fucking hundreds of thousands of years. But what started throwing us off, it worked, fucking 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, but now it's dangerous, right? Now it's dangerous because we have the capability to wipe ourselves completely from the planet. We have the ability to practically reenact the asteroid that crashed into the Earth and killed the fucking dinosaurs, right? We could do that to ourselves if we aren't careful. So, we have to be cautious about how we proceed.
And I mean, and one of my many theories, and that's one of my most plausible ones, is that, honestly, mankind will be its own utter destruction. Because we all are so different. If you look at what's going on minor and major in the world, we're not just pulling away from enemies, we're pulling away from allies because everyone is different. So, at the end of the day, it is one for all and all for one, just because we are in a country, where we all live together, that doesn't mean we're all together, it's still one-on-one. And
because we still have individuality.
Exactly. Because, I mean, you're never going to find people you completely agree with, ever, no matter where you go.
It's not possible.
And, I mean, that's exactly what's happening in the UN right now. You have some people pushing for peace. You have some people pushing for utter destruction of other people. And it's just absolutely crazy because, The UN was designed to stop things and prevent things like this from happening that's going on.
Yeah.
But
the UN was designed to be arbitrary.
Exactly. Let's
yeah.
stop it before it even escalates to, what is going on. But because we're all individuals and we have our own ideas, it's failed.
It doesn't work.
It's
the system doesn't work. Is what it is. The system does not work. Right? I mean, it's there's no real way to it's so much to get into, and it's so much to talk about, because if you were, to your example of, the United Nations was kind of created to,
unify us,
to unify us. Yeah.
Be there to, stop things from escalating to the point of where they're at in some places.
Right. And they don't successfully do that all the time.
No.
And so it's like, what do you do then? What's the plan B? Well, the plan B is, we just let them fucking duke it out and fight each other. But why is that the plan B? The plan, we should never have to go to war with each other ever, period. Like, we should never even have to do that. There's no reason why we should have to do that. But when you start throwing in, people in power and greed and, lust, and you could name all fucking 7 deadly sins. I don't give a shit,
Yeah.
Yeah. When you start throwing all those factors in and you let it happen, well, what are you going to do? Like, it's... And I'm not trying to sound like, I'm a fucking, anarchist, but, like, that's when the people need to stand up and say, no, this is not how we're going to do this. And, again, that may not work because not everybody's going to agree with each other, So it's almost like you're in a catch-22. It's a double-edged sword. There's almost... In fact, I would say there is no way to fix it. There is no way to fix it. The only thing that we could possibly do is decide, okay, we're not gonna, continue to produce nuclear weapons. We're not gonna make any weapons of mass destruction. We're not gonna make any weapons that could possibly kill us.
Well, we've got that. As a whole. We've stopped making nuclear weapons. But we never decided we're going to decommission and destroy any of the ones we've already made. We can reduce our stockpiles on everything. Yeah. But if we all decided to do that, how would we for sure know that every country did that? So no one's ever going to do that, because everyone is always distrustful of everybody, because everyone has different viewpoints.
Right.
Everything.
So, like, we could say, oh yeah, we're gonna put down our nuclear weapons, we're gonna destroy our stockpile, and we'll say, 5 other countries go, you fucking morons, and then they keep theirs, and there's just no official fixing it.
No.
I think our only grace of hope at this point is for the fucking aliens to come down and go, okay, guys, like,
we're back. Cut that shit out.
This is what we need to do.
Yeah.
And that could actually be the future of mankind. It could get to a point to where we're on the brink of absolute destruction of ourselves. And the fucking aliens come down and go, hey,
stop your bullshit, like,
guys, let's back up for a minute, let's take a breather, and this is what we're gonna do. We've been observing you for 50,000 years, and we found that you've progressed to a point to where you're kind of fucking stupid, so we need to step in and do what we need to do.
I mean, and going on that, I mean, I feel like they've been here. If you look at so many different things around the world where they match, and, you haven't, the Mayans weren't in Egypt, and, people from there weren't in Asia, but, they have the same depictions of, these things, it's crazy, because, I mean, what if they do decide to come back for whatever reason and say, hey, you know, we thought we left you in a good state to, you know, evolve as one, and yet here you are destroying one another.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, if I woke up in my bed in the year, we'll say 5 years from now, right? We'll say in the year 2027, and I'm laying in my bed one night, and it's, a Tuesday, and I got to get up and go to work in the morning, and, I got to work for the system that makes me do it. And I wake up at 2 a.m. to fucking E.T. standing there going, E.T. fun home, E.T. fun home, and there's a fucking big old, like, UFO sitting outside my window. I'm gonna get my ass up. I sleep nude, so I'm gonna be naked. And I'm gonna fucking walk out there and be like, alright, just take me, let's go. Where are we going? I'm not even gonna question it. Just, alright, let's go.
I would probably have the same reaction, but with shit everywhere, because I'd probably shit on myself
shit
first.
the bed.
And then I'd get up and be like, well, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Where I will go peacefully with shit running down my leg.
What are you supposed to do in that kind of situation? Be like, no, I'm not going. Fucking, fold your arms and just like throw a little temper tantrum about it. Like, no, you're going.
The gun I have on my bedstand will not do anything to them.
Nothing,
like they got me.
No, fucking E.T. going fucking bring the Fae to your ass if you don't get in that fucking if you don't get in that damn UFO. Like. But it's such a scary thought, because we're at probably the highest peak of tension right now, just in the world.
I mean, if you look at the doomsday clock, we have minutes, These are scientists from all around the world that get together and say, they calculate everything and see how far we are away from our own destruction. And, we're only a few minutes away. And these are the smartest people in the world, And I'm sorry, but my bet's a little on them. They've clearly succeeded to the top of everything.
Right. Well, and with, to that point, like, you gotta wonder, like, how did they get there? Why did they get there? Should we really put the faith of humanity as a whole in just a small group of people? Like, I don't think that's logical.
But I feel like there's instances where we just don't know it, where humanity has been put in the hands of few people. So,
well, it always has been. I mean, we know that it always has been. I mean, it always has. You look at back into, Egyptian times when there were pharaohs, ruling over the lands, and then even, Greece, through the medieval period, Greece, and you look into the medieval periods, and there were kings, and like there's always a high ruler or a one or small group of individuals that are the say-so. But I don't think that system, it works to an extent, right? Like it works because if it didn't, we wouldn't be here, right?
Yep.
But there's flaws. There's a lot of flaws in that system. So, what do we do to fix that? What do we do to say, okay, like, we're not going to let the same person rule over and over and over again? And yeah, you could say that, oh, well, that's how America is in their presidency, but
that's not how the world works.
That's not how the world works, right? The world's politics are all different. It's a huge melting pot. And so, if you're looking at the grand scheme of things and the grand, future of mankind, how do we quantify that? How do we obtain the system that's needed to make sure that we don't have to go to war with each other anymore? We can keep Earth's resources steady and flowing without completely fucking destroying it like we are now. How do we do that? And that's like that's the big $1 million question is, what do you do to make sure that we can continue on? And that's a huge loaded question, right? Like there's millions of things to talk about under that question. But
I mean, it's in my opinion that that question will never be able to be answered. That's just $1,000,000 just floating around because at the end of the day, everyone's going to have their own agenda for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it, prime ministers, presidents, they have their own duties as, elected officials to do what is best for their country. And that might not be in the best interest of another country, and it may not be in the eyes of everybody that it's in the best interest for their particular country. But at the end of the day, that's who the majority voted for, and that's what the majority would think is best. And so you're always going to have dishappy people everywhere you go, and that that $1,000,000 will be unclaimed for forever because there is no solution to me personally.
Right. No, and I can sympathize and agree with that there is no ultimate solution. If there is, we are not smart enough to figure it out. And again, back to the aliens are gonna have to come down and fucking step in and be like, hey, But I personally, I think that people in our age groups, in the 20s and below, we're fucked when it comes time to retire if we live that long.
Oh yeah.
Like if we even make it to retirement age, we're fucked, right? Like Social Security is probably not going to be there anymore.
No.
We're going to get to a point to where it's going to officially and permanently collapse. The economy in general is going to officially and permanently collapse. It's on its way. We have our ups and downs, and we have our, oh well, gas is only $1.89 a gallon, and oh well, fuck, now it's $4.65 a gallon, and and we have our ups and downs with that, but every time it dips down, it gets worse every time. Right.
Yeah.
And it's on a continuous cycle of like every, 8 to 10 years. The economy has to have an absolute crash and then reset itself. But every time the crash happens, it gets worse than it did the previous time.
Oh, yeah.
And when it comes back up, it doesn't come back up as high as it did before when it recovered. You know what I mean? It's doing this up and down, up and down, up and down, but the overall it's doing this totally going down, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so we're gonna get to a point to where the entire supply chain is gonna collapse. The entire food supply chain is gonna collapse. Everything is gonna fucking collapse at some point if we don't fix it.
Yeah.
Right? And little peons like you and I have no choice but to just put our faith in the higher powers and go, okay, well, I'm going to vote for this person because they're going to do what's right for us. And, I believe in their antics, and I believe that they're going to do what's best for the people. But, how surefire is that? Like, it's not. You don't know. I mean, it's you're rolling the dice every single time, and so. I'm to the point where I am in my early 20s, but at the end of the day, I'm prepared to, as an individual, step up and start speaking my mind to elected representatives, and hopefully one day be in a position where I can start making a change for the people, in the way that I personally see where we need to be going. I want to be able to change things. I don't want to just be one of those people that just stands aside and just votes. I want
people that I've
you want to be the people. You want to be the one that people are voting for.
Yeah,
yeah.
And if I'm not at that point, if for whatever reason I can't get there, I'm going to be talking to the people I elected to. That's how you make the change. Is you tell the people that is in office that we put there what you want and how you want to do it and everything like that. And that's how you make changes. People speaking, because if no one speaks, how are they to know what you as their constituent wants?
Right. And that goes a long way, but I don't think it reaches the finish line, because still, at the end of the day, no matter what we say, or if we, no matter who we vote in, those people are going to do what the fuck they want to do. They're going to make the choices how they best see fit.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why, the American people can vote for this president here, right? And this president has, 60% of votes and the other one has 40. Well, that can get overridden. And, the president that got 40% is the one that wins, even though the other one got 60. This is the one that we're going to put into office.
Oh, yeah. And it's all because we select a few amount of people to make those decisions. Yep. Our decision as a person does not matter.
Right.
It is people that we choose to make those decisions for us.
Uh-huh.
So, if you look back at what I believe it was 2016, that election where Trump came in, Hillary technically won by the majority of the people.
She won the majority vote.
But Trump got the electoral votes. And it's all because we put those people where they are to make that decision for us. Our opinion does not matter, and we need to change that.
Right. And that's kind of a big flaw in the system. That's one of the biggest flaws in the system is, okay, we want, people to be able to vote whether they want Democrat or Republican, and I'm not going to get into the rabbit trail on this, but I still think it's fucked up that we only have one or two choices to begin with, because no matter what anyone says, we have one of two choices.
Yeah.
There are one or two choices. You can pick Democrat or Republican. Third party is never going to fucking happen.
No.
Like, it's never going to happen. It never has, and it never will.
And if you look back at it, we used to not run with VPs. We never got to elect a president and a vice president. It was, we elected a president, and the person running against them was the vice president. So you would always have that opposition in the executive branch. But we don't do that anymore. We outlawed it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have two different viewpoints like you do in our legislative and judicial branch, where you have a mixture of everybody.
Yeah. And, no matter what, we're always going to be forced to pick one or two sides.
Exactly.
And that's part of the problem. That's actually a huge part of the problem. The system is designed to make you pick,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you want cherry flavor or do you want watermelon flavor? Which one do you want? You can pick one or the other. That's it. You can't have green apple or blue raspberry or, whatever. Cherry or watermelon, pick it. And it's always going to be cherry or watermelon, no matter fucking what. It's always going to be cherry or watermelon. So, that system is good to an extent. But it starts to fail when we vote as a people, and we vote, okay, for this president, and this president, again, gets 60% of the votes, but the government decides, no, we're going to do the one that's 40, because that's what's in our best interest, right?
Yep.
And that's why I've always said, your vote doesn't fucking matter. I've always said that, because, and people go, yes, it does, yes, no, it doesn't, because of that part. Right?
Yep.
Because even if everybody vote, you could have a president that's voted 99 to 1%.
And if we decide
on if 99% of the people in the entire fucking United States go, we're going to vote for this president.
there's a
The
small
government
group.
still has the ability, the small group still has the ability to say, nope, it's going to be this guy, the one that's the 1%, or this woman, or whoever,
Yep.
this person, that's the one that's going to be voted in.
Yep.
And that's the part of the system that's flawed. And that's why it's not technically the land of the free and the home of the brave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not really, you know, it's not really that. There's, it's the land of the halfway free and the land of the somewhat brave. Like, it's at a point. Now, don't get me wrong. I love living here. I love this country as a whole.
Oh,
right? Yeah. I love my rights, and I love,
the freedom I get.
the freedom that I have, right? I'm not taking away from that. But when it comes to our just overall judicial system and the way we operate, it's very flawed. And there's a lot of shit that's going to have to change. And not only that, but, even just down to, the simple terms of, a president can only be in office for, 4 years before he has to run again. Well, there's congressmen and senators and people like that are there for fucking 40 plus years.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sorry, but the motherfucker that's 80 something years old should not be making decisions for people like you and me, who are going to be the future, a new age,
everything.
The future of this, the new generation and the future of this country, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're way behind the times, right? Like, they're not keeping up, They should be cycled out just like everyone else.
And
right?
I mean, as much as I love watching them debate, in different committees and on stages, and to see them, 40 plus years into the game and just watching them argue with newcomers, I find it entertaining because they try to throw up the past every single time. If we consistently remind each other of the past, which I think is not a bad idea, because we should always be able to grow from the past, but we don't see what we could potentially become as a nation, a state, or a whole mankind as itself, I don't see us progressing anywhere. If we're consistently just shoving the ones that were, younger when they started to being old now, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I think, in absolutely any role of the government, and I'm talking any, I don't give a shit what role it is, the absolute max that you should be allowed to be in that role is 4 years. 4 years flat every time. Doesn't matter if it's president, doesn't matter if you're a congressman or whatever.
Yeah.
4 years. That's your max. Once your 4 years is up, yeah, you can go for a second term, if you're doing good. Yeah. But, and if the people decide that they want to keep you there, but after your second term, you're done. You're done. You're not coming back. You're done. You're out. Yeah. We're voting someone else in. We're gonna keep cycling and let people, other people come in with fresh and new ideas.
Oh yeah.
People that have been there for 45 fucking years don't have fresh and new ideas. You know what I mean? Like they don't.
They ran out and they're just piggybacking on everybody else.
Well, I think that the best thing we need to do is, and it's just like, no, you need to go. Like, you need to get out.
Yep.
You need to get out, go and fucking retire, and go play golf for the last fucking 10 years of your life or whatever. You need to go. Get out.
I hear Mar-a-Lago's very fine this time of year. Head on down.
Yeah, simmer down now. You just need to go on. Okay, we gonna get you a blood pressure medication. Don't you worry. We just. But it's at a point to where we're gonna have to start thinking about shit like that. Okay, obviously this isn't working. We need to change it up. We need to figure out a different method here. And we haven't, for whatever reason. Like, what are the odds that, like, the people would band together and go, hey, this is stopping today. We're changing the way we do things. Because, again, back to what we were talking about earlier, not everybody's on the same page. So it's a catch-22. It's a double-edged sword. How are you going to do that? You can't. You can't. So we just have to fucking ride the wave.
Yeah.
We just have to keep riding the wave and just hope for the best.
I mean,
that's our only choice.
And going back to that, you know, if you look at it, there was a small group of people, you know, just 2 years ago, you know, January 6th, rioting outside of the Capitol, you know, because they wanted to speak their mind, you know, and whatever your viewpoint on it, you know, it can be whatever. But, you know, that's a somewhat kind of way of freedom of speech. You know, we're saying, you know, whatever ideas you have, you know, fine. But, you know, at the end of the day...
Well, and we have a right to overthrow a tyrannical government.
Exactly. I mean, we could have a civil war, you know, part 2, you know. We've done it before.
Yeah.
And, you know, the South lost to the North, and, you know, we became, you know, a whole country again. But, you know, there's no, you know, way of saying no to that, because, I mean, if you look at Texas, there's so many jokes about that being its own independent country. You know, it's bigger than some actual countries. You know, it could sustain itself, you know, and it's crazy to think that we could potentially do that again, you know, and if we did that, what would the world do? Because we are a leading figure for the world.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, and, you know, as far as, well, setting an example, I don't know that we're doing such a good job of it anymore. In fact, I think right now we're the fucking laughingstock of the planet. But...
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're at a point to where we're gonna have to start making decisions, and we're gonna have to say, okay, we need a clean slate, right? We need to really just get together as a people, right? You know, everyone, you know, just get a full populace vote on not just 2 choices, but 50, right? Like, what do we think the best path to take is? And I know that's kind of just a very simple, just dry, basic way to say it.
Yeah.
But that's really what we need to do. We need to look at other options, is kind of the point that I'm getting to.
I mean, and that is that's an idea that I've had before, you know, as a theory to see if we could, you know, somewhat more unify the world, you know, is what if instead of becoming one whole, you know, country as an individual, what if we became a world order instead, you know, where, you know, we make laws and regulations for everybody instead of just one. Now, I know that would upset a lot of people, but if the majority votes on it,
right,
what are you going to do? Because that is what a majority wants.
One, it's actually kind of the same political system as Star Wars, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I am the Senate, you know. But, you know, it's kind of the same concepts. Like, you know, you've got the Jedi, which are like your fucking space cops. And then... we'll not talk about the Sith. We'll just say that, you know, you have a political order for the entire fucking galaxy, right? Like that everybody just does a majority vote, and, you know, I love democracy, and fucking...
From now on, I will refer to you as Darth Pyro.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Yeah. Henceforth you shall be known as Darth Pyro. Yes, very good, Anakin. Fucking, you know. Oh my god. But, oh god, could you imagine if some fucking slug like Darth Sidious ran fucking America? Oh my god, what a shit show that would be.
I would call it the minute I saw him running campaign ads.
Yeah.
We're going to become an empire.
Yeah.
You just watch. This republic we have right now.
The republic! Yeah. Oh
sorry, sir, but you're the Senate. There is no republic anymore.
Yeah, like... actually, it wouldn't be too far off. Like, I mean, with the way America is now, all the fucking school shootings and shit, instead it would just be Anakin Skywalker walking into a fucking high school. Jesus Christ.
I know that's bad to laugh at, but I mean, I see it now, just mowing down kids like he did.
It's just... you know what? Actually, now that I watched Star Wars Episode 3. I think a couple of weekends ago.
I saw that because you were putting that filter.
That stupid Snapchat filter.
I was watching it and I was just dying the entire time.
And the funny thing is like as I watched that movie, I was like, this is really relevant to today from a political standpoint.
Oh yeah,
right? Like that. I was like. This is pretty on point. And again, the future of mankind, like, we're not going to change. It's going to be like this, 1,000 years from now when we have, or hopefully it doesn't take 1,000 years, but whenever we get lightsabers, right?
Yeah.
It's still going to be the same.
I just bought my prototype. I'm waiting for the real one to come out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like it's going to be the same fucking thing. It's not going to change. And a lot of people would argue, well, that's because the system works. But does it? Like, does it really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say so.
I mean, and...
there's too many flaws.
I think George Lucas really hit it on the nail when he had Padme in Episode 3, say in the Senate chamber, this is how democracy dies, is in...
with thunderous applause.
Yeah, and I mean, that is how I think... we will destroy each other and just thunderous applause with, complete and total, utter disregard for human life in other places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a fucking, like, there's going to be a point where there's, like, some giant meteor coming to hit Earth. It'll be like the movie Armageddon, Bruce Willis.
Yeah, yep.
And, fucking... whatever that song is by Aerosmith is playing, and there's just a giant hologram in the sky of fucking Darth City. It's just like, very good, Anakin. You have done your job well. And then the fucking meteor strikes the Earth, and then we all die. And like that's that's kind of what that's where we're headed.
And I mean, honestly, now that we're on the kind of sort of the topic of space and everything like that, I've noticed a lot more that I've been getting more updates about, the universe. We have a black hole only 5,000, light years away, and it's growing, and I
say that like you're Elon Musk, like, I've been getting more updates on the universe, and it's...
My SpaceX shuttle just, took off a few days ago, and this is what I got.
Yeah, that Tesla that I launched into space a couple of years ago, it just reached a planet that has contacted us now. And
they love the car. They love electric.
The car. Yeah, they like the rusty look to it because, the radiation has pretty much destroyed it completely since it got there. But
they think it's a great... just trophy for them, like we have succeeded versus these imbeciles with opposable thumbs.
They've put it at the top of their highest mountain, and now they're worshiping it for some reason. That's very interesting. It's oh my god.
But I mean, that could be another thing for humanity because I see different things all the time. I watch stuff, I study stuff. It's crazy to watch what is happening not only in the sky but here on Earth. Because, I mean, I've gotten updates that there's 2 black holes at the center of the, universe that we live in, or in the galaxy we live in, that are pulling us in.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They don't know what's going to happen because they are going to eventually merge. And what if they do? What happens to us? Because we will feel the effects of that.
Oh, if those two black holes merge, because they're fucking huge, for one.
Yeah, we'll know Stephen Hawking was right, but it would be too late.
We will get sucked into infinite darkness.
Yeah.
Like, the planet itself will no longer exist when that happens. Like, that's going to be I think that, well, not only that, I'm pretty sure the sun will explode before we even get to that point.
Yeah. But what if they've already collided? Because they're thousands of light years away. So how do we know that we just haven't seen it yet, and we're just waiting on the effect?
Right, but I think that they've ruled out that it has not happened yet, but it's going to happen soon. But again, we won't see it in our lifetime, and our ancestors, or not ancestors, but our
future.
Our future, 100,000 years from now aren't going to see it. It's not going to be seen for,
if they ever do get to see it.
Years. If we live long enough, right? Like, if we're here that long, But if we are, I will say, mankind has made astronomical progression just in the past 30 fucking years.
Oh, yeah.
We have made astronomical progression. So, from a technological standpoint, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I would imagine people. That even just, I'm going to say within the next probably 1,000 years, we'll be traveling planetary. By that point. We'll be traveling to different planets 1,000 years from now. But
I mean, if you look at it now, we're already sending shuttles up for people, paying tickets to, paying money to buy tickets. But
I mean, treat it like a cruise, right? Like, instead of going on a cruise down to the fucking Caribbean in the middle of July.
I mean, that's essentially what they're doing now.
You're getting on a fucking spaceship, and we're gonna fly you to the fucking planet Omicron Persei 8 out in fucking,
I'll skip that tour. I don't want to be the reason
we're gonna take you to go meet President ruler of the planet Omicron Persei 8. That's where we're going to take you, and it's exactly 2.37 million light years away, and you'll be back in about a week.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we're already sending people up to, in technical space, around the planet, and they're just cruising around, and then they come back and land. It's crazy to think that, actors have done it, millionaires have done it, and, lucky contestant.
Jeff Bezos and his penis rocket,
Yeah, It's whoever, his brother went on it too, because he invited his brother. And it's crazy to think that
weird that
we've
he would invite
done
his
that.
brother to get on his little fucking cock rocket that went up into space.
I think he invited, an older lady as well, some teenager as well, and I think 2 other people with him.
Okay, so Jeff Bezos definitely doesn't discriminate.
But I think those were all contestant winners.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. They weren't lucky enough to be his brother, but they all.
But they were lucky enough to ride the cock rocket.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would too, anytime, but.
But
for the man that has the biggest yacht in the world, I'd ride any kind of rocket.
Does he? Really?
In fact, he owns the biggest one, and they had to take down a bridge, a historical bridge, in order to get it out of where it was manufactured. And it was an uproar in that country because it was so significant to the people.
Yeah, I imagine so.
And they were heated about it because was, something that they cherished, it was a symbol for them, a landmark that tourists would come to, and they took it down all for Jeff Bezos.
Oh wow, that's sad to hear.
Yeah,
must be nice to be a fucking billionaire, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Take that Amazon package and shove it up your ass,
Dude, and he treats his workers like shit. I've talked to so many of them because they deliver to a bunch of the properties that I'm at, and. They're like, we have to pee in bottles. We don't have time to stop. If we stop and we're late on routes, we get written up and we'll get fired. And they're just and that's robots, and they just replace them.
And that's why you can do like same day and or next day shipping.
Yep.
And that's why it's at the expense of
his employees.
Yeah, it's at the expense of the employees. It's at the expense of that poor motherfucker that's driving that fucking van all over town all damn day, you know, and they don't get paid that good. There was
No.
actually a documentary I watched about ex Amazon workers that were like, I will never go back. Like,
No.
ever, period.
I have a friend that's about to quit from Amazon. You know, he's just like, I can't do the conditions anymore. If I can't even use the restroom for 5 minutes, at some random store that's on my route, and I'm that far behind, just 5 minutes, I'm done for. You know, and it's ridiculous to think that you can't even use the bathroom without losing your job.
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous.
That's like borderline. What am I trying to say here? That's like infringing on workers' rights is what that is. I mean, that's, no, that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And so that's why, like, I'm one of those people where if I order something online, whether it's Amazon or wherever else, and it gives you your, estimated delivery time. Oh, you're going to receive it on, August 12th between 6 and 8 p.m. Well, if I don't get it on August 12th between 6 and 8 p.m., that's fine. I'll give it a couple of days, I'll see, and most, I don't think I've ever had a package that was just flat out not delivered, right?
Yeah. I mean, don't order from Wish because it would be like 3 months later, and I'll be like reporting a missing. But
when you're ordering from Wish, I mean, that's a different. We won't include Wish on this because that's a you're rolling the dice. You're rolling the dice with Wish, but look at this cool, interesting fucking like piece of jewelry, and then it gets to your door and you open it and it's like a dollar store toy.
Yeah.
Like
I ordered, just as a cute memory box memento for my dad. I was like, this would look cute, with all of his stuff from the military. Mm-hmm. And I had found this one that had gold around it. Of course it was fake and everything, but it was just for the aesthetic of the look for his, memorabilia. It was going to be gold with a blue zirconium rock that said United States Navy on the side. And then it would have a battleship on one side and pistols on the other. It said U.S. Army, and it wasn't spelled right. Army wasn't spelled right.
Oh, God.
And it was a red stone instead of the blue one. And it had the pistols on one side, and then on the other side it had U.S., but it was backwards. And I was like, it was $15, so, I couldn't expect much, but I just took it at a loss, and I was like, I'm never going to order from here.
If it's customizable and it's only $15, yeah, I mean,
it was not even customized, it was just, that was the photo of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that would be perfect, I'm going to get that. And then that's what they sent me, and I was like, this is...
Like, you order this, like, nice, luxurious, like, fucking, like, class ring that an NFL player would wear, but then when it gets there, it looks like it came out of a PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's... I mean, it is what it is. $15, whatever. But, point is, I don't, like, really bitch when my packages are late.
No.
I don't complain. I don't, I
unless
understand.
It's like a week, that's when I kind of start to
if it's like 7 days, then I'm going to go ahead and like say something and be like, hey, like, where's my package at?
Yeah. But if it's within a couple of days, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
It's I understand things happen. I mean, stuff happens at my work all the time, and I can't get things out, It's always a day or two, accidentally behind. But I understand it. I get it because I've been there.
Right. Well, yeah. It's just like anybody working a job. It's you may not get something done in the requested time frame, and so that's fine. But where I do get a little bit confused is like how some of them leave the packages. Like, I literally had an Amazon package delivered once where someone like the person that delivered it was very small, right? I think it was like a bracelet. I don't remember what the fuck it was. A very small package, right? Little bitty thing. They scotch taped it to the front door. And I'm like, why? Why
They
would
were
you
bored.
need to do that? Like, you could have, that thing was so small, you could have put it under the doormat or something. Like, they take a picture of your package, like, they do all that. And I'm just like, why did you scotch? And I'm talking heavily scotch taped. I'm talking like,
damn.
I'm talking like they fucking like, the package was one with the front door, right? Like, it was at a point where I was just like, how much fucking scotch tape is on this front door right now? And it was just so weird. And I thought, this man has to be on drugs. That's the only answer. That's the only answer. That's the only thing that makes sense is he was on the drugs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a shame,
I
was like, this one must be from High Point or something. Oh man,
that does sound.
For those
like
listening, that's
a
a joke that you'd only understand if you lived in North Carolina. But
yeah, it's kind of like Durham, North Carolina.
Oh God.
If you watch the scene from Lion King, and he says,
yeah,
everywhere the light touches, is ours, and he asks, well, what about the dark place? And well, High Point in Durham, that's our dark place. We just
that
don't
is
go there.
Durham, North Carolina, Simba. You must never go there.
Yeah. It's, and like, I don't want to drive through there and, get bullet holes in the side of my car.
And I've been driving through, okay, it's funny you bring up Durham, North Carolina. We're totally rabbit trailing from the future of mankind, but this is kind of touching on it, I guess. So, when I go visit, like, my mom's side of the family, they're out towards, like, Raleigh, out in that general vicinity. And I always take the short route. And the short route is, going through Durham. And it's going through, like, the fucking, like, oh, I might get shot kind of area of Durham.
Not me.
And every single business on that strip of Durham has bars on the windows. Like, it's, you're only there if you're just driving through. I never, ever, ever stop anywhere. I don't care if my car is getting ready to run out of gas.
No.
I do not stop in that little strip because I know it's only about 5 minutes to drive through it.
Yeah.
But that little strip is fucking sketchy, dude. It is so sketchy. They're like, everything's got bars on the windows. All the houses look like they're fucking ramshackle, just absolute, just, like falling apart. Like, it is a really, really, it is a true ghetto. Like, it really, truly is. It is a terrible side of town. And it's right off of Highway 98. Like, you get off of, I think it's 70 East.
I don't know. I don't ever go through it.
Like,
I always make sure I go around.
Yeah, you get off of 70 East and you get on to 98. And 98 is a straight shot. Like, if you go 98, it's a straight shot into, like, Wake Forest. And, you can keep going and you can get to Highway 1, which one will stretch out to Raleigh. And anyway, so...
Yeah. I've been through Durham one time and I got lost going through there.
Yeah.
And I was right out, like, I'm talking, I could see the university and downtown from where I was.
Like Duke?
But, no, I'm talking like Wake Forest University.
Oh, yeah. Back when it used to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Wake Forest now is in Winston-Salem, which is fucking stupid. That never made any sense to me, but...
I mean, I was driving through and I saw armories that, we had as, a National Guard and stuff that was barred up and everything. And I was like, I'm in my company vehicle. I got to get the hell out of here. I'm going to speed through here. And if a cop stops me and asks why I was speeding, I was like, I got to get through here before I get shot up. Yep. And if they ask, do I have a gun in the car? I'm like, yes, I do. I'm good. You don't got to give me one. I'm ready.
Right. Yeah. And, Durham was always that spot that I drove through, and I was just like, that there, and you know what's funny is I never had one problem, even to this day. I mean, knock on wood, but ever since that I've been driving through there for the past. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna say since I started driving at 16 to now. So for the past 13 years, I've been driving through there and never had a problem. I've never had like some weird crackhead walk up to my window or what, like, because
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, but that's the
I
kind
always
of
get
place that it
so
happens all
tense
the
when that
fucking time.
happens. I'm like, yo, if I had money, I'd give it to you, but I don't.
Yeah.
I've had one throw like a whole like 7-Eleven cup at me before because like I just rolled up to the stoplight and they were like, "Yo, you got any change or anything?" I was like, man, normally I do, but today I don't. I'm so sorry, or I give you something, and he threw his whole drink at my windshield, and I was like, not today.
Yeah, like it's
like,
your responsibility for other people's fucking failures, but
yeah.
And the weird thing about Durham is like there are certain parts of Durham that are fucking insanely nice. Like there are parts of Durham that are like Oak Ridge out here. Right?
Really?
Like oh dude, like there are parts of Durham that are like super upscale. Like it's one or the other. It's hot or cold, right?
Yeah.
Like Durham has no in between. It's either you're in the fucking slums or you're in the rich people area. And I've never understood that about Durham. I'm like, how does this operate?
Yeah.
How does this work? You know, like how is this cohesive? It's not. But it's such a wild place to be. And kind of going back to our main topic of the future of mankind, when I drive through places like Durham or Fayetteville or wherever, you're kind of like, man, we fucked up.
Oh
like,
yeah.
As a society, as people, we have really made some mistakes because we should not. No one should be living like this. You know what I mean? Like no one should have to live like that.
Oh yeah.
So,
and I mean, if you look at it, the top 65, cities in America, I want to say 4 or 5 of them are in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
For murder per capita. Fayetteville, Durham. The Greensboro, High Point.
I think High Point's on that list. Yeah,
we're in the top 65 in the nation.
Right.
For murders per capita, and it's absolutely crazy.
High crime rates, yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird because like everybody's trying to move to North Carolina now. Like everyone's trying to come down here.
And I don't know why.
Don't come down here. Do not come to North Carolina. If you're listening to this podcast, do not fucking move down here, please, for the love of fucking God. Like
Texas has no state taxes. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, right. Like go somewhere else. Like good God, dude. It's like we're gonna end up. So North Carolina's gonna end up being one of those states that's like living in fucking New York, where like you live in this tiny little fucking 500 square foot apartment for $1,300 a month.
I mean, honestly, my 1 bedrooms right now are going for between 12 and 13, and they're between $795 square foot to $850 square foot.
And we're almost there. So. Please, for the love of God, if you are listening to this podcast and you like us and you like what we do, please do us a favor. Don't move to North Carolina. Vacation here all you want. That is totally fine. We have mountains and we have beaches. It's great. It's a beautiful place. But don't live here. Don't live here. God.
I'm ready to move.
Don't live here. Yeah,
shit.
Like I wanna like move to like fucking Gary, Indiana or somewhere where like nobody else is around.
I hear Colorado's nice.
Oh, I would totally live in Colorado. Yeah, I personally like the cold weather. Most people don't. I love cold weather.
I don't.
I would take cold over hot any fucking day.
I'd move to Australia if I could, but
Yeah. Well,
I hear Colorado's really nice. I've never heard bad complaints from residents.
Yeah, I've always said that the reason I like cold weather more than hot is because you can put on more layers to warm yourself up. But you can't go streaking through the fucking streets
Oh
when it's
yes, I
95
can.
degrees. I mean, you can. There's going to be repercussions, but, you can.
I do it in my backyard.
You know,
I get a full body tan.
I mean, within reason of law. Like, you can, you can continue to layer up to keep yourself warm, but you can't, go fucking streaking through, like, the local park.
Which there was a town, I think in Germany, that just passed a law where women can now go topless to pools.
Well, that's cool. I mean, no, that's good because to me, like personally, and that's not like oh yeah, I get to see titties. No, it's not that. It's
men have titties. I've seen some big men with bigger titties than
yeah.
most of my women friends, and I've seen a lot of titties.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm like, what you wear, a size double
nipple
F?
is a nipple. Like, why are we, censoring just men? Like, why are we sexualizing women to the point to where it's like, oh nope, they have to always have clothes on at all times, and if not, then oh nope, that's a no. Like, no, I mean, no.
I mean, everyone honestly, typically sucked on a titty when they were a baby.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't do it now,
yeah.
but it's whatever. It's gonna be some adjustments, but
right.
you just have to understand. It's what a man has. It's just not as big.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, and I can, from a standpoint of
a straight man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but to me, women should be able to express themselves however they want. They should be able to dress however they want and not be in fear of some fucking pervert coming up and trying to touch them or do God whatever, like, just fucking vile act to them. You know what I mean? Like, they should not have to worry about shit like that. Men don't have to worry about it.
No.
I mean, men can go to the beach shirtless or go wherever shirtless. I mean, women should be able to do the same thing. I mean, why have we, and again, feature of mankind here, why have we gotten to a point in society to where we feel like we're gonna divide ourselves just even by gender in that respect. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, it's okay for men to do it, but oh, God forbid a woman tries to do it. No, fuck that. No.
I mean, I'm one
that.
for complete equality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm one that, if a man could be a CEO, a woman could be a CEO. If a man could be a president, a woman could be a president.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter to me, but so many things are focused around it. Yep. Pay gaps, positions and stuff like that. To me, it's whoever is the best candidate for that position will get it. Being someone that has hired and fired people, I look for the best candidates, and I've hired males, I've hired females, and to me, it just doesn't matter, I've hired them for positions higher than mine and lower than mine, but at the end of the day, I'm going to find the best fit.
Best candidate.
And I mean, watching women in sports.
Regardless of gender, race,
hair,
whatever else, because that's even still a fucking problem now, and I'm like, why is that a problem? Tattoos or whatever, like, nothing ever physical should be judged for what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Like, that should never, ever, ever happen under any circumstance, whether it's for a job or if you're, competing in something. Like, if you're some person that's like 600 pounds and 5'10", doesn't mean you can't run fast. Maybe you can, I mean,
I've seen some big men, I mean, I've ran track, cross country, I've, ran in second. I've been around big men and big women who have just strided right on past me like it was nothing, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, like, that's impressive, right? Like, that's one of those things where, we should never, ever, ever be judged by our physical appearance. That should never play a factor.
And I'm not gonna say I don't see color, or anything like that, because I do,
Mm-hmm.
and when I'm sitting there making decisions, when I'm sitting there in an interview or anything like that, I think to myself, go you. You're, proving everything that, certain people think it's wrong.
Yeah,
You have defined
you're overriding
everything.
the stereotype.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I actually, I'll be honest with you, I do see a difference in people, because that's what I like to see, is people there to, say, I may be black, I may be Hispanic, I may be a woman, I may be a male, I may be gay, I may be straight. Whatever you are, I want to see you succeed and strive to be more than just that.
Right.
I don't want you to be stereotyped, not at work, not outside of work. I'm going to be there for you no matter what. And I love it, because I try to not only find the best candidate, but I want to find someone that's going to break the glass ceiling for that, whatever. Being, I'm hiring you for a regional manager position and you're gay, and say we've never had that. I want to see you not only go from that regional position, but I want to see you eventually start making decisions in our corporate office. Someone that's never been in that position.
CEO,
exactly, and I unfortunately work for a family-owned business, so unless it's in the family, I won't see them become a CEO.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in different states, and we're growing, we're expanding every day, and as we grow from a small business that was tiny in the 80s, we have such a diverse work group.
Mm-hmm.
And we deal with so many people in diverse settings, where I've had I've had suicides, I've had murders, I've had shootings, I've had child abductions, but to see all those different things in different communities and see people overcome it in every way, in every different form of a human, I love it, because it's, I'm seeing you're growing as an individual.
Right, and and to that point, I feel like that's one of the things that hinders us from progressing as mankind is not allowing that to happen everywhere, right?
Exactly.
Not allowing people to just succeed in where their strengths are, and we're not going to hire you because we don't like the way your hair is, or we don't like the color of your skin, or whatever that may be. It is a fucking travesty that is even still a thing. Like, I cannot believe that here in the year 2022 that is still a problem. You know what I mean? Like, that should never be a question. And if we didn't have those bars in front of us, if we as mankind did not jail ourselves in that way, can you imagine how much more successful we would be as the human race, right? Like, we would be so much better off if we didn't pay attention to stupid petty bullshit like that.
Oh yeah.
If we didn't go, oh well, you're XYZ, so that's not fit for the position, even though XYZ has absolutely nothing to fucking do with the job itself, or with what your accomplishments may be in that role, right? So that's another big problem too. Like, we have got to stop that shit. We have got to stop doing that, because and some would argue, oh, it's already stopped, it's not a problem anymore. No, it still is. It still is very much a problem. It's more regional now than it used to be. Some areas don't, and some areas do, but it's at a point to where it needs to be gone. It needs to be that just shouldn't even be talked about. There are certain states that have laws that say, even North Carolina being a right to work state, or at will state, you could get fired for any fucking reason for whatever. They may not say it, but with us being an at will state, I could go into work on Monday and they're like, oh, you're fired. And I'm like, why? Oh, well, just because we said so. And we don't like your hairstyle.
Yeah. I mean,
and there ain't shit nobody can do about it.
Yeah.
Like that's a problem.
Yeah.
That is a big problem. That should not be a thing.
Yeah.
I don't want you to work here anymore because I don't like your face. Right?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. I mean, and it's so weird because I just had a similar conversation with one of my bosses the other day, that was, does it bother you that we don't, say that we are LGBT, Q, whatever, friendly on Indeed, or that we don't have, a pride thing, at our offices, everywhere. And, it's my opinion, you don't have to show it to be supportive. But, I told her, I was like, it doesn't bother me. It's whatever is going to be best for the company. Because, this is what I work for,
Right.
And if I didn't believe in anything that we stood for, I wouldn't work for them,
Right.
But
those labels shouldn't even be there.
No, I think...
Yeah, those labels, like, to me, like, the fact that LGBTQ even has to exist as far as a label tells you something, right? Like, it shouldn't have to, right? That shouldn't even have to be looked at, right? We should be looked at as human beings, right?
Yeah.
It's not my fucking business what you or any other friends or it's not my business who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in. That's none of my business. What you identify as, whatever, that is none of my business, and it should never, under any circumstance, play a factor in deciding whether or not you're capable of doing something.
Yep.
Right? It should never be a fucking question.
I mean, if you look at the Secretary of Transportation, he's gay, he's married, and has a child with his, partner. And it's just crazy to think that to some people it's like the biggest thing in the world. And I understand, we...
well, it's like that's targeted. Like, well, he's gay. Well, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Why does that matter? What does it hinder that person from doing their job and doing it exponentially better than most others would?
Oh, yeah.
Like, does it do that? No. Then why the fuck are we worried about it?
Yeah.
Like, why is that even talked about?
Oh, yeah.
To me, again, the advancement of mankind really needs to start with removing all these fucking labels, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
We need to remove these labels of, oh, well, so-and-so is this.
But
so
if you do that, so many people will be butthurt about it, because
and that's
what makes them feel special and as an individual.
Because the system
has made it that way. Yeah.
Right. And that's the point I'm getting to. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be able to claim whatever they want to claim. I'm definitely not saying that. But if we didn't do that within the system, if it was, again, like with North Carolina being a at-will state, oh, well, we're going to let you go because we just don't like the homosexuality.
Yeah.
We don't like that being presented within our company. It gives us a bad name. That shouldn't even be a fucking thing. That should not even exist. Because that has nothing to do with your performance at a job or whatever. And it's not just in the workplace. It's just in general, right? Like, no one should have to feel like they have to... what's the word I'm looking for? Justify themselves, right? No one should have to feel like that they have to prove themselves to another party because that other party probably doesn't agree with them. As far as your personal beliefs, that shouldn't even be a thing. And if it wasn't, we wouldn't have to be like, oh, we're going to continue to fight for LGBTQ rights. Why are we even having to do that in the first place?
Everyone should just be able to have the exact same rights.
Right. And so... But
because religion gets so mixed up with state and, federal law, it's crazy. Because we are a predominantly ran country where we run off of religion. Right. Even there is a law saying separation
religion,
between,
quote unquote,
church and state.
That's bullshit.
There's not. There's so many pockets.
That's a smoke and mirrors kind of.
Yeah,
that's a whole smoke and mirrors thing. That it's not true. It's just simply not true.
Oh yeah,
there is not a full separation of church and state.
If we took religion out of everything that we had, I feel like we would be more of a utopia.
Yeah. Well, and, the separation of church and state is only where it's fucking convenient for the church, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to pay taxes, but, it's okay if we, fucking weasel our way into the government to prevent gay marriage from passing into law.
Yeah.
Why is that even a fucking law in the first place? You know
Which
what I mean?
I was talking to I'm sorry, but a dumb fuck I went on a date with who was like, yeah, we can get married here in Virginia because we're gay. And I was like, you can get married here. And he argued with me on it. And I was like, you're dumb. You're fucking stupid. It's 2022. And, that shit was passed, I believe, in 2013?
Yeah, it's been a while.
2013, you can get married in any state. And he argued with me, and I was like, we have come as a organization, as a group, to where we have more rights than we did years ago. And I'm like, we've already broken glass ceilings. We're continuing to... but there's no reason to shove it down everybody's throat.
Right.
Because we don't want them to shove it down our throats. Why would we do the exact same?
Right. It comes down to everybody should just mind their own fucking business.
Exactly.
That's really what it comes down to. Yeah. I mean, but again, why is that even a law that's debated in the first place? Why is that even a thing? Oh, well, you can't get married because, by laws, you can't get married because it's of the same sex. Well, then obviously religion is involved, and it always is.
And I mean, if you look at other countries around the world, I mean, you can get killed for it. You know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you'll get fucking stoned to death or hung in front of the fucking town or whatever like that. Yeah, that's a thing. And so...
It's terrifying because, I mean, if you look at it and you do your research on it, if you're stoned to death, you're not dead, but they turn your bones and body essentially into jello while they're doing it until you finally get lucky enough that a big enough stone hits your head and knocks you out.
Yep.
So you no longer have to endure that.
Right.
You know, and to me that's just absolutely disgusting for being who you are, but because there's so much religion tied into law and everywhere, you can't.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I mean, and this goes for people of color. This goes for LGBTQ. Anybody that is just trying to be themselves, and there is a system that is suppressing them. That should not be a fucking problem, but it is, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
And as long as that continues to be a problem, we may progress technologically as a species, but we're not going to progress mentally. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
I think we're getting worse,
and
honestly.
Our stupidity and our foolishness and ignorance is going to be the product of our own demise.
I think we should start taking warning labels off of things.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah,
I mean,
just let fucking,
it's like the girl that glued her
let
hair
natural selection do its
Gorilla
thing.
Glue, and tried to sue Gorilla Glue for her putting it in her hair. Like, no, you dumb fuck.
Yeah, no.
You deserved everything you just got.
Let's let natural selection do its thing and just be on our fucking way. You know? Jesus. But we'll see how it is, even just 5 years from now.
Heck, I'll see if you're still here tomorrow.
Right? Yeah. We'll see how it is, and, I would be interested to revisit this exact conversation exactly 5 years from now. What's today's date? Today is June 19th of 2022. So, June 19th of 2027, if I'm still doing this, and if we're both still around, we'll have to revisit this conversation 5 years from now. and see how
If we're in a
accurate
bunker?
or far off we were. Yeah, if
Yeah.
we're in a bunker, maybe we're doing it remote. We'll do it through Zoom, right?
Yeah.
We'll do a Zoom call.
If that's
podcast.
still around,
If the internet is still alive at that
Zoom
point,
may become the next Skype. We just fall
right.
off of it.
yeah. I mean, but I'll be interested to see how this continues, just overall, just mankind in general. I'll be interested to see how we progress, and hopefully I'll live to see it, but I'm kind of scared too at the same time. I'm afraid that 30 years from now, there will be no fucking, stores to go to anymore to buy stuff from, and there, it'll be just survival of the fittest kind of deal, because we could definitely do that, like you said, within minutes. We're minutes from doomsday, so it's kind of a scary thought. These are really, really dark, tense times that we're in today. And
I could wake up to a nuclear alarm here in just an hour,
Yeah.
I'll go lay down and, I'll wake up,
Yeah, we could hear it in the distance, just
I'll get an alert on my phone. The United States Department of Defense has issued a, nuclear warning for your area.
Every
Please
single
seek a
piece
fallout
of technology.
shelter.
Yeah. The U.S. Department of Defense has launched an all-out nuclear missile attack. Blah, 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 blah. We
have launched the kitchen sink, y'all.
Yeah, we've launched the kitchen sink. And, okay, well, it's been fun, guys. Go ahead and cuddle up with whoever's close to you and just...
And I don't know if many people know this, but if you have any followers in Greensboro, I'll be honest with you, we're a number one terrorist target. If we were to get blown up in Greensboro here in North Carolina, we're done for. We have a lot of gas and oil reserves just sitting in Greensboro on the outskirts, and someone could blow up one tank
pipeline, and there's
we're done for, so we're a target, so I mean, if it happens tonight, it was great talking to y'all.
Why spend the money on a missile that can go extra boom when you could just spend the money on a small missile that targets something else that makes it go extra boom?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's the scary part. I mean, it's we're at a point where that could happen any fucking day, and you never know. The chances of it are probably pretty slim. I mean, it's pretty slim that something like that would happen, but it can happen. So, with that said, it's going to be interesting to see where we are, just even 5 years from now, let alone 10, 20, or even 50. I mean, we got a long road ahead of us, or maybe a very short road ahead of us. It's all going to depend on how we play our cards.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of, I'm going to give it a shout out because I love it so much. But speaking of buying, bigger, large missiles, you can donate $40 to this teenager. He started up a website in Ukraine, where you can go and pay $40 and write a message on a bomb that they are launching at Russian soldiers right now in Ukraine. And you can write whatever you want. You could write, go suck a fat dick. And have it launched at somebody.
Suck a big fat cock.
And, I watched that, and it was a teenager, very young teenager who was too scared to stay and fight, but he wanted something to do, and so far he's raised $18,000, all for NGO, supplies such as sleeping bags, food, clean water, housing, transportation for all the civilians out there that are still trapped. And, granted how morbid it is, it's something I've donated $40 to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm like, I will so write.
Oh yeah.
Suck a fat dick on a bomb and send that.
I mean, me being the stupid motherfucker that I am, I'd probably just write like your mom or something like that, But again, it's going to be interesting to see where we're headed a few years from now. So, with that said, we probably need to go ahead and bring the podcast to a close. there's so much more to talk about. There's so much more to unpack. There's so much more to go to just
An
go into
infinite
depth about.
amount.
I mean, there's so much you could talk about here. And, you know, I want to stress to anyone listening that, these are just opinions. These are not, factual statements that any of us were making. Like, some of them, yes, just statistically, but, um, everyone's going to have a different view. And we touched on that earlier. Everyone's going to have a different way they look at things. But the fact of the matter is, and the reason this podcast was done today and we discussed what we did, was that, we got to figure something out, guys. We got to figure it out. We need to find a way to get off of this destructive path that we're on. So, it could happen in the near future. It could happen way beyond any of our lifetimes. You never know. But got to keep the faith and got to keep hoping that it will change one day. And if you can make a change for it, then do it, right? I mean, if there's anything you can do at all, do it.
If you believe in it, support it. Do
Right.
it. Just don't
Right.
stay quiet.
Yeah.
If it's something you want to do, you want to believe in, find ways, because there's always a way to do whatever
Yep.
you need to do.
Can't win the lottery if you don't play. So, and that's the best way to put it. But with that said, everybody, that is bringing us to a close, and I appreciate all of you for listening in. And let us know in the comments if there's anything you want to discuss, anything that we may have touched on throughout the podcast. If you have any input or any insight, or if you have any discussions you'd like to start, then let's do it. So that is it for the podcast. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will catch you all in the next one.